just thinking of an old story that happened to me like 5-6 years ago. I was at a music festival. It was the very end of the festival. The festival was already over. And everyone had already left. We stayed an extra night just to kind of let all the crowds go and be more chill about it. And I had to go get the car out of the parking lot and kind of bring it back to the campsite. It was super late at night. It was very dark out. And this was a pretty big music festival. And there were just hills after hills of like car parks. And it was super dark. And I went on a long journey to go find this car. And I couldn't find it. You know, I was like walking out in the boonies just for like 2 hours, you know. Starting to just really like get super desperate, you know. Like, fuck, like I'm really out here now. I have no idea where this thing is. It's so late, like nobody's around. I'm like clicking the key, trying to see if it'll unlock. Don't see anything, you know. And I started to get like just a little bit like panicked, and I fell into a ditch actually. Like there was a big dip, and I tripped and fell into the dip and just kind of hurt myself, you know. And it was at that point I was just like looking up into the sky, just like, fuck, like what the F, you know, like I give up, like I don't know what to do. I can't find this, like I'm at my wit's end, you know. I climb out of the ditch and I hit the button, and whoop, whoop, yellow lights, just like 100 yards away. I see the car. And I was just thinking about the story just because I was reading some of my guru's tweets tonight, which are super nice, by the way. And he was talking about how when people are reduced to nothing, it reveals within them their guiding light. Like it's revealed to yourself what you turn to in those moments, you know. And I think it's a really interesting thing to look at, like where we turn to when we've lost everything, you know. Not that obviously I didn't lose everything, like just like not being able to find a car, but it's just like it's an analog to that in a way, you know. It's a moment of, you know, desperation and just like giving up, of you're just at your wit's end, you know. And it's interesting that it's just so human to turn to God in those moments, and it's so human to not turn to God in all of our other moments that we are normally living, because things are usually pretty okay, you know. It's also just interesting that the lights blinked right after, you know. I just love that things happen like that. Like there was another time in Mauritius, I was trying to unscrew a mop head from a mop pole because I needed to change the mop out, and it would just not come off for the life of me. Like I was trying so hard to unscrew it, like putting all of my force into this thing, just cranking it, you know, and it would not come off. It was so stubborn. It was probably on there for like a year or something, you know. It was disgusting. Really needed to be changed. And I was trying so hard, and I was like, I can't do it. I remembered a satsang just earlier that day when Guruji was talking about how we should turn to God for everything instead of just some things. Like we should really be getting into a relationship with the divine and bring him into every part, and just like offer him everything that we do, bring him into every part of our life, you know, and just make, you know, forge that relationship in a more real way. And I just, in that moment, was just reminded of that. I was like, okay, Krishna, you unscrew this. You have to help me because I can't do this. I just said that prayer, you know, and then I like grabbed the mop And I swear, it came off like it was oiled, like butter. It just came right off. And I was just dumbfounded sitting there. So I was like, what? No fucking way. You know what I mean? It was just another one of those moments, you know? So, I don't know. I don't know what anyone is going through who's watching this. But, anyway, I believe there's I guess I could say, you know, my experience is not so deep, you know, of the divine. Because I'm still so in my head, really, like, generally. But in my times of like, especially my more real, raw, emotional times of, like, whatever, breaking down or, like, going through shit or whatever, I do definitely turn to something higher. I do turn to God. And I do believe that he is real, you know? I think I really knew it, even especially as a young child, which is kind of interesting because I remember one therapy session I went to as a kid, and the therapist was asking me if I believed in God, and I said no, because, like, I just kind of thought that that's what we were supposed to say. Like, it was kind of like what everyone else was saying in school and everything. Like, we were so science-based, you know, it was like kind of almost seen as like silly to believe in God or something, or like kind of weird. But, I mean, I don't know if I did believe in him or not at that time, but maybe I just wasn't even really thinking about God at that age, at that point. I'm just thinking super young, though, but regardless. The value that my guru has brought to me, like, completely without asking for anything, is just freaking totally insane. Like, from what I knew before I met him, like up until that day, and then now the 4 years since then, like, my understanding has changed so much about God, you know? And I think one of the major ways, basically, is what I'm saying, is that you can actually have a personal relationship, which is crazy. To think, like, who the fuck are we to have that, you know what I mean? Someone so small, so tiny. So that, like, amount of mercy is just kind of like, I don't know, just makes you want to cry, you know? It's just almost too much, like. But I think that the reality is that we don't know who we really are then, you know, because we must be something more if we're able to have, if that really can be a reality, you know, which means we just must be so deluded then, you know. So, yeah. Anyway, so lucky to have met him in this life, you know. So, yeah, excited for. I'm very happy. Good night.